Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Planning Poker webinar. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Maeve. I am a ZenHub Customer Success Manager here. And joining me today is my colleague Myra from the design team at ZenHub. Myra, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Great. So just as a quick overview of today's agenda and what we will be covering, we will start off with a quick overview of estimation and planning poker in general. So for those of you who may be just getting started with estimation, we will cover that. We will then move on to have a discussion with Myra, our product designer, who actually designed planning poker. So we'll hear some key insights and learnings throughout the design process. We'll then actually demonstrate one way you can run a poker session in ZenHub. And so we'll look at a couple of different aspects here, including requesting estimates from team members, viewing issues assigned for voting, and of course, voting with the team. And we'll run through some scenarios that you may encounter when you are voting. We'll also then look at how planning poker really works together with ZenHub sprints to save your team time. We'll also have a Q&A at the end, but of course, please feel free to pop questions in the chat at any time and we can get those answered as well. So as a quick overview, planning poker is a consensus-based technique, and it's one of several methods that teams can use to perform story point estimation. Story point estimation is used to predict the amount of effort required to complete a task. So its purpose is really to help teams size and compare one task in relation to the size of other tasks. In 2011, researchers at Microsoft actually published a research paper, and they found that all estimates are wrong. So, how do we deal with this? We have to make forecasts and projections for our projects. And so Microsoft came to some interesting conclusions. They found that estimates done by individuals not actually doing the work are the most wrong. They also then found that estimates done by the team actually doing the work, done by comparing some new work against old work that the team had done, was the least wrong. So they discovered that team-based estimation was the least wrong way to estimate work, and planning poker helps you do just that. So Myra, thank you so much for joining today. Do you want to briefly explain why you introduced planning poker to ZenHub?
Yes, thank you, Maeve. So it all started with a question: how might we help users facilitate best agile practices in ZenHub? And if you're currently using ZenHub, you may know that we recently released ZenHub automated sprints. So how can we take this new feature to another level? Well, I facilitated a remote sprint and I asked the same question to my peers. The idea we decided to validate and prototype in just 1 week came from our developer lead, who, after spending some time reflecting during a team retro, he realized that it wasn't the final estimates, the ones that were creating the friction in his team, but rather the process of assigning estimates. So he named this solution the Estimator 9000. So shout out to Aaron Franks, who you may have seen in our last webinar, by the way. This idea consisted of collecting a list of issues that the Scrum Master wanted others to estimate ahead of refinement, and getting them to provide an estimate without being influenced by other developers asynchronously at their own time. And this goes to votes later on during the refinement. So why estimation? So estimates actually unlock the value of velocity and burn down reports in ZenHub. Future sprints can be automated if you have estimated issues. We thought that estimating asynchronously ahead of refinement makes estimation accessible for distributed teams across multiple time zones. So in a nutshell, focusing on making the backlog grooming and refinement experience ahead of a new sprint had like this snowball effect of benefits thanks to planning poker.
Wow, okay. And what did you learn, Myra, after testing this idea with some users?
Yeah, so after we did a couple of usability testing, we learned that estimating for the sake of estimating isn't the real goal. It is what you do with the estimates that matters. The value of refinement sessions is to surface complexity and discuss together. So this feature shapes the conversation rather than replacing it. It told us that supporting real-time voting in planning poker had to be a big part of this feature in order for it to be successful. Also, participants felt that planning poker made backlog refinement feel fun and productive in real time, but there was definitely some hesitation when using it async. I think planning poker asynchronously will not replace refinement sessions yet, but it definitely gives the team members a voice without being influenced by others, and saves time when developers look at the issues to be refined ahead of time. So while some teams may not be ready to use planning poker asynchronously, it definitely helps build confidence to estimate in a fun way. So already teams internally at ZenHub use planning poker. It has definitely shaped the way we do refinements today. It also reminded me that agile estimation is a team sport. So adding a number is the easy part, but knowing how to estimate is important. So in order to do that, the issue needs to be well defined and have some sort of understanding of the system. And I actually have a poll for the attendees here today that I think Julie, if you can help me send the poll. I have this poll. I want to know what is the challenge number one that your team has during estimating, or like if you don't estimate today and you have done it before, what was like your number one challenge at refinement meetings or estimating specifically? I see some votes coming in.
Yeah.
Amazing. Estimates are not accurate. Yes, that came as part of the usability test as well.
Oh yeah,
Estimates
looks
are
like
not accurate.
estimates are not accurate is looks to be a winner.
Right. Thank you so much. This helps us a lot to see. Hopefully, you will find some value and definitely this gives us a lot of insight.
Yeah, thank you so much, Myra. So now Myra explained a little bit more about why we introduced planning poker to ZenHub. And I'm going to show you one way that you can run a poker session with your team and hopefully improve the accuracy of those estimates. So by the end of today's webinar, you should walk away knowing how planning poker can firstly help to increase team collaboration by giving all team members an opportunity to vote and share their opinion in an unbiased and honest way. How planning poker can also increase the accuracy of your estimates and reporting, helping teams to better understand their velocity and also helping leadership understand if teams are on track or behind. And then lastly, how planning poker can really work with ZenHub sprints to save your team time during meetings. So I think it's time to dig into ZenHub itself to showcase running a poker session. So the really great thing about planning poker is that it's entirely up to your team how you use this feature. You can either run a planning poker session asynchronously at a time that works best for each team member, or you can also run a poker session with the team during a refinement session. So I do have some of the customer success team on the call today. Julie Rashenda, do you want to say a quick hello?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining today.
Hey everyone, Rashenda here. So excited to demo this for you.
Awesome. So we're going to show you how you can run a planning poker session in real time. So I've opened up a ZenHub workspace here, and typically when we come together, we like to work from our ready to refine pipeline for poker sessions. So to begin a poker session, you can do so by selecting those issues you'd like the team to vote on. So to do this for multiple issues, you can do so by using multi-action. And so this is a really fast way to perform it for multiple issues at once. So we'll select some of our issues here. We'll then choose the set estimate option, and you'll have the ability here to start a planning poker session. And from here, I'm going to choose the participants that I'd like to vote for these issues. And you can click Add. Once you have invited teams to participate, you can also do it for individual issues. So maybe you only want to invite team members to vote on one issue. You can select that issue that you'd like. Our new issue flyover modal makes this experience more fast and efficient. And then once again, you can choose to add members to vote just under the estimate field in the issue sidebar. And once again, I'm just going to choose the team members on today's webinar that I would like to vote. So when you have invited the team to vote on issues, how do you just view issues assigned for voting? So the best way to do this in ZenHub is using the filtering options. So by selecting the estimate option here, you'll see you'll have the option to filter the board to view issues assigned for voting. This is also a really great view when you're running poker sessions asynchronously. By filtering the board by issues assigned for voting, it's shared in the board URL, and you can share this URL with the team so that they can vote at a time that is most convenient for them, ensuring that their flow of work is not interrupted. So for the purpose of today's demonstration, we're going to look at a couple of scenarios and how to deal with these when you are running a poker session. So we're all going to open up issue number 47 here, where I have invited the team to participate. As you can see, all the planning poker participants are listed here under the estimate field in the issue sidebar. So typically we'll review the item for 1 to 2 minutes in silence and make sure that it is understood by everyone on the team. And then we will begin voting. So, okay, let's start voting on this issue. And so as we can see, the votes are actually updating in real time as team members vote. So we can see that their status is changing for the issues. What's really, really great about this is that all votes will remain hidden until each team member has submitted their vote. So what this does is it really helps to improve the accuracy of the estimates so that each team member can vote what they believe is the amount of effort required for the particular task. So I'm now going to vote. We can see that all of the other participants' status has changed. And I'm also going to vote for this issue. And so as we can see here, we have all voted for 3 story points for this particular issue here. It might just need to perform a little refresh, but when all team members have voted the same, yeah, we can see here that the final estimate has also now been set to 3. So this is a really great automation feature, and it's really, really helpful when you're also running planning poker sessions asynchronously. By having the team vote in their own time on issues that have been assigned for voting and having that final estimate automatically applied when the team is in agreement. When the team does come together, they only need to discuss those issues that they were not aligned on. So this has actually saved our own internal teams at ZenHub a ton of time. We realized that we had actually been debating issues that we were already aligned on. So by having that estimate automatically applied, our attention can be focused on those most debated issues. So we're now going to look at another scenario here. So we will all open up issue number 46. So once again, we'll spend just 1 to 2 minutes looking at this issue and ensuring that the acceptance criteria is understood by everyone on the team. And once again, we will all begin voting. Once again, you'll see here in the sidebar, the status of those votes are changing in real time. So we can see what team members have voted and who may be still voting here for this issue. So I'm going to select my own. Okay, and then once again, once all team members have voted, those estimates are revealed. So in this case, we can see that our team did not reach a consensus. I voted for 3 points, Julie and Rashenda voted for 8 points, and Myra voted for 5. So what we typically like to do in this case, and what we recommend, is having the outliers state the case. So that means having those participants with the highest and the lowest votes state the reason for that. We found that having those outliers discuss the reasons can help bring to light misunderstandings about the scope of work. And so it can help teams perhaps understand work that they originally perhaps did not have a full picture of. Team members can then, adjust their votes if they need. And once again, you might decide to do another voting round there. So if your team does not reach a consensus after voting again, that's okay too. We recommend just discussing with the team until you reach a consensus, or you might decide to take the average and move on. 100% agreement isn't actually the goal or the purpose. The goal is really to narrow the cone of uncertainty there. So we're now also going to take a look at another scenario that you might run into. So perhaps you have asked team members to participate in voting, and you realize when you all come together that maybe, one of those team members is in another meeting, maybe they are after taking vacation or they're out sick. And so you might decide that you may need to remove this team member from this particular issue. As you can see here, we have all voted, but because we're still waiting for Cam, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, we're not able to see the final votes and make a determination of that estimate value. What you can do here is you can actually, remove that particular participant by hovering over their username and their icon, and we can remove that participant. When you remove the participant, as you can see here, our votes were all revealed, and in this case, we all chose a final. We all chose an estimate of 3, which automatically applied that final estimate. So that's a scenario that you may encounter where you may need to remove an individual from participating in planning poker. So for our team, planning poker has really reduced the time spent story pointing items and ultimately reducing time spent in refinement meetings. Not only that, but ZenHub's planning poker really complements and works together with ZenHub sprints. So our team now focuses their time on refinement and prioritization, so making sure our issues are estimated and prioritized for our backlog. Planning poker plays a central role in helping us do just that. This in turn saves our team time from having to manually plan our sprints. So just flipping over to the sprint creation modal, you can see here that we allow ZenHub to automatically build our sprints from our backlog. Planning poker has supported our team in reaching more accurate estimates, allowing us to run more predictable sprints. So having those estimated issues really helps to ensure that the automatic building of our sprints really works effectively. So ZenHub also provides 2 reports that do leverage story point estimation. Those 2 reports are the velocity tracking report and the burn down report. So just taking a quick look at the velocity report here, the velocity report displays a team's historical speed of work. So at a glance, you're able to see how much value your team is shipping sprint over sprint. Using ZenHub's Planning Poker improves the accuracy of the estimates and ensures that no unestimated issues are added to the sprint. This helps teams understand their true velocity and helping ensuring that teams don't overcommit to sprint work or miss important project deadlines. So once again, using Planning Poker really helps your team to reach those more accurate estimates, which helps teams understand their velocity and helps management and leadership understand, if projects are on track or not. So I do want to pause there now that we've run through a couple of scenarios and see if we have any questions that have come through.
Hey, Maeve. Yeah, a couple of questions have come in from the audience. Can you just review how to select multiple issues that I'd like my team to estimate on?
Of course, yeah. So this is done from the board view itself, and we have some recommended ways you can do this to quickly add those participants that you need to multiple issues at once. So to do this, you can hover over an issue card on your board where you're able to enter into multi-action. And so once one card is selected, you can begin to select multiple issues here. So you can select those issues that you might want to include. From here, then you can choose the set estimate option. And from here, you can click to start a planning poker session. And then from this view, you can add in the participants that you would like included for those issues. So we'll just add a couple of the team there, and you'll have a little pop-up notification there saying that 3 participants have been invited to estimate for those issues. So that's a fast way for you to really get multiple issues included in a planning poker session.
Maeve, do you have time for maybe 1 or 2 more? Another one kind of snuck in here.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Someone wrote in, we use t-shirt sizes, extra small, small, medium, with labels. But how can our team leverage planning poker?
Yeah, that is a great question. So what we recommend in this case is actually translating those effort estimates into numbers. So we have an ebook actually called Focus Teams, which was written by our VP of Customer Success, George, and he actually provides a table which helps teams to translate, t-shirt size stories into those numbers. So what we recommend is having the team come together and, determine what their medium size piece of work could be in numbers. So for us, we recommend that being a 5. And then from there, your small could be a 2, and then your large might be an 8. So we recommend just ensuring everyone on the team understands what those values are, and we'll absolutely make sure to share out that ebook after the webinar today.
I'll just paste that in the chat actually as well too, Maeve. Yeah, so I'll post the Focus Teams in there as well for everyone. Another question had just come in here. How often should we confirm what that medium reference is? Or reference medium is, sorry, I read that backwards.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What we recommend, it really would vary team by team. What we'd recommend is just having a conversation with the team. You might want to think about shifts and changes that might be happening internally. So, if there's a bunch of new team members, or if the team breaks out into 2 separate teams, then that would be a good time to reevaluate what those reference medium might be. So, really just maybe have a pulse check every couple of months, or if there's any big changes happening internally, to determine what that new medium might be for your team.
I think I just saw one more come in. Can anyone remove the person who isn't able to vote, or only the person who set up the planning poker?
Oh yeah, that is a great question. Yeah, so typically, in teams, we see that it might be the product owner or the scrum master who is the person responsible for requesting estimates and removing or adding estimate or participants. In ZenHub though, it's not only certain roles. So anyone who has write access to the repositories where planning poker is taking place will be able to go to those issues and hover over and remove certain participants if they are out of office. So you shouldn't run into any blockers there, having to rely on, perhaps one product owner or one Scrum Master to add or remove certain participants in those scenarios.
No other questions have come in right now, Maeve.
No other, okay, great. Yeah, so they were kind of the key scenarios that I wanted to run through in Planning Poker. This is our feature launch. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, or if you have any, feedback, we'd absolutely love to hear it. So you can, email that to us directly at support@zenhub.com, or we also have.
Hey, Maeve.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. We actually did have one more question that came through. Anita's just asking, can you change the pointing values, or do you have to use the Fibonacci sequence that's there? So perhaps we could just demo that a little bit.
Of course, yeah, that is a great question. So you can absolutely change the numbers that are there. So you can adjust that to suit what works best for your team. I will note that the numbers that are displayed are tied to the GitHub repository. So if you are adjusting the estimate values, that will be changed for everyone working out of the GitHub repo. If you are looking to adjust those, that's no problem at all. What you can do is you can open up an issue and you can select the settings gear here next to the final estimate. You'll see that you have your estimates listed here. But what you can do is, as you can see, when you hover over some of those estimates, you can actually see that there's a little trash icon there where you can remove certain estimates that might not be relevant. So maybe we don't want a 40. We can remove that from being part of those values. And you can also type to create a new one. So, maybe I want to include a 9. And as you can see, when I type that in, I can type to create a 9 there. So that will be available then in my drop-down values, as you can see. So you can customize that as you would like, and it will impact the values available for the repository.
Maeve, one other just quick recap. Can you show again how you assign people to provide estimates on multiple tickets at once?
Yeah, of course. So to do this, so there's actually, I've shown really one way, but there is a couple of ways to do this quickly. One other way, which I haven't shown yet, is the ability to, filter the board. Maybe you have all issues in a certain sprint that you'd like to include in Planning Poker. So what you can do is you can filter the board by that particular sprint. Then you can actually select all issues. So that's a quick way to select multiple issues. And then you can choose the set estimate option. When doing that, you'll see that you have a Start Planning Poker session here. Now, I actually can't choose it because some of those issues already have final estimates set. But for issues that didn't, you'd be able to start the poker session directly from there. Another quick way to quickly add individuals to multiple issues at once is by using multi-action. So hovering over the board, you can select multiple issues at once. Once again, you can choose the set estimate option, and you can start a planning poker session as well to add multiple participants to multiple issues.
There are lots of interesting questions. So another one came through regarding how this maybe connects with other aspects of the product. So is there a relation to the roadmap so that I can see when my epics, etc., are ready to release to the customer based on estimation? So May, would you like to speak to this a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of our reports, oh, this is a terrible example. Let me try and switch to another roadmap. So yeah, that is a really, really great question. So the estimates that you determine from using Planning Poker with your team can be used in a couple of reports. So the burn down report and the velocity report all use story point estimation, and so does the release report. When it comes then to the roadmap view, the roadmap view will automatically update as your team closes issues to communicate progress to stakeholders. What's really great about the roadmap view is that you can actually customize how you want progress to be reflected. So for example, you can choose to change the progress to number or percentage of story points completed. So story points will pull in your estimates that are tied to those issues that are in your epics. And so it's going to communicate progress based on the estimates that have completed for all those issues in the epic. So I hope that kind of communicates how they relate to each other and how the roadmap can leverage those estimates that you determine with your team. But I'd be happy to share more information as well after the webinar on that. Okay, I know we are just 1 minute over, so I think we will leave it at there unless there's any last minute questions I can answer.
Doesn't look like anything's come through.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's webinar. We will be sending out a recording to everyone. If you have any questions, you can email us support@zenhub.com, and we'll be happy to support. If you have feedback, suggestions, we'd love to hear those too. So don't be shy in reaching out to us. And we also have our Slack community too, which we'll include in the follow-up resources. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.